Awesome. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming today. We'll give everyone a second to come in and join and make sure that we are letting people file in accordingly. I see a couple people coming in now. Hey, everyone. Hey, Laurel. How are you doing today? We're going to give 2 or 3 minutes here just to let everyone get in the door. Awesome. Blake, Elena, how are you guys? Welcome to the webinar. Get people rolling in. While we're waiting on everyone and a couple more joining here, feel free to go ahead and use the Q&A functionality. Today's webinar is going to be a lot of questions and answers, which we want to make sure that you leave here with no questions unanswered around any of the topics we're going to cover. So go ahead and get those queued up. The faster the better as people keep rolling in here. We're going to give it about 2 more minutes for everyone before we get going. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces in here. Good to see all of you. Thanks for joining today. I'm going to live 1 more minute here, another minute or 2. Let some more people, some latecomers get in here. We're excited here. Go ahead and start asking some questions in the Q&A section. That way we can make sure to get those answered for you. Got a couple good ones already, so thanks for putting those in. Okay, we're going to get going. We'll let the late joiners miss out. Welcome, everyone, to the post-Black Friday Playbook presented by Mercury and Payability. We have our special guest with us today featuring as well, Ty from SellerSmile. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tyler Henderson. I'm on the e-commerce team at Mercury, and I've worked at e-commerce brands for the last 8 years, helping them understand and bridge the gap between who they are as a brand and what customers expect. And then even an extra level, how marketplaces, e-commerce platforms, and just e-commerce in general work. So that's a passion of mine, is just really helping provide value back to sellers, to brands, to and customers by proxy through that, to really find the right way to interact and really see their dreams and help their customers have the best experience. Today with me, I've got Jacob from Payability. Jacob, I would love for you to give a quick introduction for yourself.
Of course. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, my name is Jacob Schwartz. I am the head of business development strategic partnerships here at Payability. Payability is one of the leading e-commerce funding companies providing accelerated payouts and cash and advances for e-commerce sellers and marketplace sellers. So yeah, my role here is to connect Payability to larger marketplace partnerships, as well as strategic partnerships within the Amazon e-commerce ecosystem. So that is my role here, and happy to be on and talk a little bit about sort of the post Black Friday, Cyber Monday playbook.
Thanks, Jacob. And I know that, cash flow, especially when we talk about Q4, is so very critical and important to every business, but especially when you're in a physical good business like e-commerce, and looking at the things we can do, and especially in this year where there's so many challenges, I guess is the right way to put this, when it comes to supply chain, when it comes to getting inventory, when it comes to advertising because of all of these things. So I'm really excited to get your thoughts and opinions in today's webinar around what you're seeing your clients do, your customers do, and how we can use funding as a tool to really make the best experience and the most money for our businesses, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, to really capitalize on not only Cyber Monday, Black Friday, but also the rest of Q4. So I'm really excited for that. Tygh Walters, founder and CEO of SellerSmile. SellerSmile is a customer service agency. I've gone way back with Tygh. We were in the trenches together, working in customer support for a while, and really just go really far back with him. Respect everything he has to say about customer support and that whole process. So we're excited to have him join today and speak about some of the customer support challenges that maybe some of you haven't even got as far as to think about yet when it comes to Q4 and all these challenges. So Tygh, give us a brief introduction about yourself.
Thank you, Tyler. My name is Tygh Walters. I'm the co-founder of SellerSmile. We're an e-commerce customer service agency. And I've been in retail for about 10, 12 years, but e-commerce for 6 in multiple areas. I'm a seller myself. I sell handmade quartz stone coasters on Etsy and Amazon. So I really know what it's like to be a seller and to do my own customer service, so to speak, but we get a unique glance into a variety of different businesses. So happy to answer your questions today.
Awesome. Thank you guys both so much for joining us. What I will say is, everyone and all the attendees, thank you for coming today. We're excited to provide some real value to you. What I found in these presentations today is the best way that we can provide value to you as a brand and be a partner to you as a brand is to answer the questions that you have. We've got a bunch of great questions in here in the question and answer block for us. But if you have any questions today or from anything that we say, please feel free to ask those questions and we'll answer them as quickly and honestly as we can as well. So I think that based on that, I think it's good to just kind of get in and start getting into some of these questions. I think the real hot topics today that we want to cover are, how are we going into Black Friday? How are we tackling the challenges that surround it in things like advertising and things like funding? And how are we kind of taking it into perspective in context of the rest of Q4? Now, I know that most everyone here in this webinar probably has some idea around Black Friday and what they're doing going into it. But one of the questions that I've gotten already is, how do I tailor my advertising strategy? Should I start ramping up now? Should I wait till after Black Friday to tailor my advertising? Should I go hard on Black Friday and then expand out? What's really the best approach for that? So Tygh, I would love to hear kind of your thoughts on that just initially, on what you're seeing your clients doing. Are they still planning on going into Black Friday with a splash, or are they going to kind of trail it out a little bit more? What's the strategies that you're seeing in that?
Thanks. With our clients specifically, it's a mix. It really depends on their unique situation. Many of the clients we work with have international supply chains, so they will expect some type of disruption or delay and stockouts eventually, just because you cannot restock in your vital areas that are dispensing your products. So, we advise going out of stock is one of the worst things financially for your business, but also one of the worst things that can happen to your customer service team. There are just like myriad more tasks you have to do when you're out of stock. So for ads, we recommend taking it slower this year. Instead of splashing as hard as you could in previous years, this year, if you're uncertain about your inventory level, I would take it a little bit easier. Maybe Tyler could focus a little bit more specifics on how to optimize those. But in general, spend less, get a higher return on that spend. And that's going to save your customer service team on the back end, keeping you in stock, keeping you from having to deal with those unnecessary issues.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tygh. And I think that from my perspective, there's really kind of some fundamental questions you need to ask about your business and your business. First of all, are you a marketplace seller? And is that where the majority of your sales are coming from? And your marketplace ad strategy is going to be one thing, while your Facebook and Google ad strategy driving to your Shopify site, driving to your own e-commerce install, whether it's WooCommerce, Shopify, what have you, is going to be a complete another. Because, Tygh, we can speak to this a little bit more. And Jacob, I want to get your feedback on, especially on the marketplace side of things here briefly. But you kind of got to have different strategies on how to handle those, because inventory and stock. At this point, the inventory that you have in Amazon is the inventory you're going to have in Amazon. And so I totally agree with what Tygh's saying in terms of, if you don't have the inventory in already to make that splash on Amazon and on Black Friday and go hard and then see the continued growth and be able to push throughout Q4 at your normal annual rate, like normally you're anticipating spending more all the time in Q4, you should definitely maybe not focus as much on Black Friday, but the surrounding and then after, so that you don't run out of inventory. I mean, running out of inventory on Amazon is a death sentence. It's something that once you lose that sales momentum, especially if it's you not being able to get inventory in stock until Q1 or after January, that's really, really bad for your business and the sales of those ASINs. So in that regards, definitely I would say make sure to get the highest return on that ad spend that you can, the lowest ACoS you can. Maybe don't focus for the big splash on Black Friday, and just kind of continue to tailor it out overall. The things you need to keep in mind with that strategy in particular are being able to make sure that you do sell through as much as you can before that last day where you can no longer get 2-day free shipping from the Amazon warehouses. So that's something that if you're on a marketplace seller to keep in mind on your ad strategy and your estimated sale through in that regards. Now, what I will say about the Shopify side is there are other options as well. You can look at doing pre-orders. You can look at using funding tools to maybe get some stuff air freighted over, depending on your lead times and depending on if you've already been manufacturing. And there's some really great options in terms of using those kind of tools to say like, hey, we're going to do some pre-sales, we're going to do some back orders and things like that. And I know that it can create a bit of a customer service log up, but maybe the net sales, and if you're planning ahead going into it, is something that's worth doing. Jacob, I would love to kick to you for a second here. I've talked for far too long. I would love to kick to you. Tell me about how you're seeing people using funding to do some of these ideas. Like I mentioned, whether it's rolling your advertising a little bit more or being more aggressive with it, or potentially like air freighting some more inventory in for their Shopify store. How are you seeing people kind of using funding as a tool for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think Q4, no matter what it is, with sort of the headwinds that are going on here, people need to be selling and need to be selling at a certain velocity. And so what comes with that is cash flow. So generally what we're seeing is folks that need our accelerated payout product. The ability to have payouts on hand during this time is vital. From top down, we have sellers doing $10 million a month to sellers doing $2,000 a month. And it's the same issues across the board. Shipping costs have gone up, ad costs have gone up, and everything is crazy in terms to sell at the same velocity. So either if you are struggling to fulfill orders and being able to get inventory, or if you're just trying to keep up with the competition, we're constantly seeing cash flow as an issue. So during this time, and it's sort of been a continued thing over the years, is that folks constantly have money going in and constantly have money going out. And so Payability's ability to give them those payouts on hand instead of taking out, say, a longer term loan, which might not be the best decision for their business, is usually the type of conversation that we're having, is saying, hey, we're trying to compare this 1, 2, 3-year term loan against maybe the ability to have my daily payouts through Q4, and say, hey, once January, February, March rolls around and my busy season is over, I can look at other potential financing options. I can look at potentially, lowering my cost or even not having a need for the accelerated payout program. So it's really just the ability to have Payability sort of come as you go type of model, and give that for sellers during this time. So it's been vital and always has been a vital time for Payability.
Yeah, Q4 is, cash flow is the name of the game, especially when you're looking at some of the challenges in terms of maybe we thought we were going to have inventory in stock, even in our own warehouses by now, but now we're suddenly seeing that we're not. I think another interesting angle to look at when we're talking about potentially doing back orders and pre-sales and things like that, Ty, I would love your opinion on that. Is another angle is gift cards and looking at those and saying, okay, well, maybe we don't have physical products in, but maybe I can adjust my advertising strategy towards gift cards or things like that as well, to say like, hey, you like our products, you want to do our products. But we maybe sell gift cards instead, things like that. Not as available on a marketplace, but something that is a viable option as well. Ty, when we're talking about pre-selling or back selling a catalog of products, what are the things we can do to help prevent customer service nightmares when it comes to these kind of things?
Yes, glad to share this. There's a variety of things you can do. I just want to preface this. Most of the time we see people overselling items on accident. They didn't realize it went out of stock. And then, so that's one thing. If you're intentionally overselling, we want you to have a plan for it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it in general, but if you have like a limited edition and if they don't place the order now, they'll never get it. That's a totally different story. So keep that in mind. I would say gift cards are an excellent play here because they're totally scalable. You can sell infinity gift cards and they're never going to run out. And that's also a way to keep someone coming back to your store later. A cool trick that I heard, and you can look into this, I know it's available on Shopify, you could sell a gift card that is only active and for a future date. And maybe you sell it at a discount. So you're just rewarding and you're helping yourself plan for that. What I will say though is be as clear as you can with your customers. As soon as you're aware of things, be transparent on your policy pages where they allow you, whether that's on your marketplace accounts or on your website. If you can speak to that up front, the customer is not going to be surprised when suddenly their gift is missing or it's delayed or something like that. There's so many extra emotions when it comes to gift giving. And when that gift is out of stock, the customer service team feels the brunt of it. So yes, absolutely. Another trick just to keep in mind is if you're a physical product seller, think about digital products that you could pair with your physical product offering. Again, it's completely scalable. One example we have is one of our clients sells martial arts gear. So could they sell an ebook about martial arts or offer lessons through a trainer or a coach on their website that allow you to keep that sales velocity, keep selling when you're experiencing issues with your inventory?
Yeah, that's a great tip, Ty. I think that those my priority in when I'm selling and when I'm talking with brands is clear expectation setting. It's just high communication. And I know that's something that you guys always hone in on as well. It's just how can I set the most correct expectations that I can and provide the best experience. I think that the one thing that people have found is that if you set it up front and you say this is the level of experience that you're going to get, that gives you the opportunity to exceed expectations, especially if things go better than planned. But if you know that you're out of stock or find out that you're out of stock, going to them and letting them know as soon as possible, not just leaving them on the hook for 2 weeks and trying to make some way to recover that experience is a great way to do it. I think that takes us to a really great question around from the audience here, which is what effect how can I use my customer service experience to like help with my ads? Like what does that look like? Is there a way? Does we pride ourselves on this. What's the best way to use customer service to help with ads and conversion rates and everything else?
This is a really cool question. I know Amazon ads have made advancements and other things, and you could do so much more with them in terms of the copy and the content. I'll share one story of how we work with a client specifically. They requested from us to meet periodically with them and share with them the positive customer experiences that we're seeing in the inbox. Normally we would respond and take note of them, but they wanted to see more of that full text and actually which percentage they were seeing that were positive. It turns out they're taking some of these quotes and testimonials and using them on their site, in their ad copy, in their packaging. Seeing real live quotes from real customers is that proof, it's that validation. And of course, in ads. Another way, not quite related to ads, but I'm sure you could find a way to tailor this to it. If you're selling products and your customer comes back with a raving experience, they're so happy, they just love your product. We've learned to capture that positive momentum, and we have a follow-up sequence that asks them for like a high resolution photo and explain your experience a little bit more if you don't mind, and their permission to share on social and whatnot. So some of that kind of client user generated content can be converted into your ads. Absolutely.
Beautiful. I mean, that's a great tip there, Ty. I think that with that question, there's also some really interesting things that you can do around setting, we talked about setting customer expectations and then also using customer expectations to ramp up ads. I think that one really cool thing that I've seen some brands do, it's a very, very cool technique, is when you're balancing, if you're a brand that has your own website as well as Amazon, is just really, really being upfront and honest throughout the process as to what your shipping times are and everything else. I've got a question from someone in the chat here that I want to get to in a minute, but I just kind of want to share the strategy because it's kind of an advanced advertising strategy that I think is really interesting. Does this really cool thing every year where they will run ads and promote their own e-commerce website as the priority up until a certain time. And that time comes when it's either out of stock or they know that they don't have the systems and processes and processing time to get things to people before Christmas and the holidays at that time, at which time they flip everything over to Amazon. And so it's a really cool, really advanced tactic where they're saying like, hey, we want to, it's cheaper for us to sell through Shopify. Or not Shopify. I don't know what e-commerce platform they're on. Because this is just me observing this in previous years. Hey, we're seeing this. We're naming, we're saying like, hey, we want to do this ourselves. We want to, it's cheaper for us. It's better for us. We're going to run Facebook ads and capture the audience, own the audience until we can't create that good experience, that best in class experience anymore. And at which point we're going to send them to Amazon because Amazon's going to create the best experience. And we're going to push Amazon advertising even more. And they're probably still running Amazon advertising throughout this and pushing to Amazon throughout this. But at that point, they even on their homepage say, we can't deliver by Christmas. If you want it by Christmas, click here and we'll send you to the Amazon store, which is like a really brilliant tactic, I think, in making sure that you're capitalizing on the most sales that you can get while doing that. And Jacob, I think that maybe you can talk a little bit about like using that Amazon and marketplace workflow to kind of capitalize on those ads, because you're still making, I know that you guys with the instant payouts are able to take, hey, even if you're making like residual sales on Amazon and you're not going hard on it for Black Friday or whatever else, you can take those payouts and use them even quicker to like get faster cash cycles on advertising in other places, right?
Yes. Yeah, of course. And it goes with both products. On our access side, having daily payouts, or on advanced side, short-term advance to be able to invest back into marketing. If you, like you're saying, if you know your ROAS or your ACOS, right, and you know you can 5x that type of investment in a certain time period, right? Especially during this busy season, that's where these investments make sense. So we get on these conversations and we talk about rates and terms, and we talk about cost of capital versus investment, right? How much top line revenue can I make from investing back into this business? So if you can put that additional $20,000, $30,000 back into ads on either the D2C or Amazon side, if you can make X amount of revenue out of it and it outweighs your cost, that's really why these investments make sense. And it makes sense to take on some of these capital options that, may seem quick and a little bit more expensive than your traditional financing option. But when it comes down to optimizing opportunity and capitalizing on some of these opportunities that you have during Q4 and throughout the year, shorter term financing will make sense if your top line can benefit from it.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's great notes there, Jacob. We have a great question here from a handmade brand. So they ask, what suggestions would you have for a handmade brand with longer processing times? When competing in a market of ready-made, quick shipped items, how can we maximize sales that won't ship till after the holidays? So I think that maybe Ty, that's a great first question for you. And then I'd love to have some discussion around that as well.
Yes, thank you. The handmade seller is in a unique position, and they mentioned that they feel like they're competing with these prime offers that are sitting and waiting to be shipped. I would say being handmade or taking longer rather, is one of the hallmarks of being handmade. If it was 2-day immediate, it wouldn't feel like it was handmade. So that's the first thing. I would just speak to that. You might think it takes too long, but that's part of the experience and why you have this wonderful handmade product. And if anything, I would double down on that and explain in your detail pages and your about pages your process and why it takes so long. And the appreciation your customers will have for your product, I think will increase, and will just reflect however you describe that to them. To maximize sales, especially if you won't be able to deliver, not knowing the product type, just giving general recommendations. If your product is giftable, you are missing a great time to be selling that. But like we mentioned, can you sell a gift card for a future purchase when they're available? You can, if you can prove they're available and there's no issues to the capacity that you can create yourself, then like Tyler said, maybe do these pre-orders now. You'll buy your chair or your coaster or your table today and you'll get it in February. And if you can provide your customer with a picture, a nice something to gift, if that's what it is, then I think they're going to be happy to wait for it. And think about how excited they'll be every week, every day as it gets closer for that to arrive.
Absolutely. You know, I would recommend exactly what Ty said. One, making sure that you're clearly setting expectations with the person who's buying that, hey, you're not going to be able to receive and gift this before the holidays. But doubling down on the, hey, quality takes time. You know, you're ordering a handmade products. It's made with love. It's made with all of these things that take time. And based on that, that's why you're not going to be able to get it overnight. But that's okay. And that shouldn't prevent you from being able to capitalize on Q4. To Ty's exact point, like maybe there's some cool things that you can do around being able to work with a graphic designer, work with someone to create something that they can give as part of this. Maybe it's not a gift card. Maybe it's hey, just so you know, this is coming to you. You know, it's here, you know, quality takes time. I ordered you something handmade. If you have a mock-up of what that product's going to look like or something like that, that's kind of just like a really nice, high quality thing. I think it'd probably be worth like even just like sending a postcard to them, you know, biting the couple dollar or so of shipping plus a you know, a couple of dollars worth to print this a nice high quality, like, hey, someone loves you and has got you this gift. It's in the mail, but quality takes time, so it's going to be after the holidays. Just as a placeholder, I think something like that is a really valuable thing to start to present to customers as well. And it's, you know, if you're hopefully your margins are in a place where you can do something like that, but I think it's something like that goes the extra mile to be able to make a really astounding customer experience.
And Tyler, just to wrap that up, if you are choosing to pre-sale or have longer than expected ship times, make sure that's reflected on the back end of your marketplace shipping template. It's the word. If you don't change those and you're saying 3 to 5 days shipping, but it's actually 3 to 5 months, all of those orders will be marked as late in your system. You're going to hit a bunch of metrics that you don't want. So make sure your shipping template actually reflects that extended timeline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So hopefully that helps you with your question. I think that handmade and is a really great niche to be in. I think that it's a really cool way to present it, but it does present some unique customer service problems when it comes to busy times like this time of the year. Ty, you know, while we're on the topic, what are the things that we expect? Like, are you expecting more customer support tickets than normal this year? Are we expecting less? Are we expecting people just to kind of be a little crazy? What's your expectation with all of your customers?
Yeah. So just in general, customer service volume and activity correlates with sales. The more sales, the more emails you'll have. The less efficient your business is, the more emails you'll have. And these inefficiencies are forced onto e-commerce businesses this year and last year. So it all really depends on how bad the supply chain issues get. And everything I'm reading and seeing, and I'm not even an expert in it, it just looks like it's bad and there's really no end in sight. And that worries me because that means we don't really see an end. It might could get worse. What we see though, generally, and what we saw last year is that more inquiries came in about shipping times, and we call them order processing inquiries. This is after orders placed, but before it's shipped. Like why hasn't it shipped yet? Where is it? Because we saw delays at every stage. Yeah. So expect more in general, but expect more of those types of inquiries. Another thing we see common is if you do run out of stock, even if you try to manage it well, we see so much more communication surrounding that, whether you're placing customers on a list to wait, sending multiple follow-ups week after week, kind of just maintaining that customer until they're resolved. Expect to do much more of that. So overall, a greater volume and a greater type of inquiries. Most notably, you're going to see so many inquiries about gifts. Is your item giftable? Can it be returned as a gift? Is the price going to show on the invoice? Like, can I send it here? So in Amazon, they have gift templates and for handmade as well. So take a look at those before you go into Black Friday to make sure they are giftable if that's what you intend. FBA can prep that for you. If you do sell a seller or merchant fulfilled listings, you can also do that, but you're responsible for that. So your team would have to do the wrapping and the prep. But overall, I think shipping and gifts and just the supply chain issues are going to be some of the common things.
So Ty, you said something in the middle of the statement that I think applies to all three of us. And I think that I want to have a little bit of discussion around, and that's returns. I mean, that's the ultimate scary thing that kind of happens. And, with more sales come more returns, right? And I think especially when we're talking about giftable items, when we're talking about people buying things or maybe even buying multiple gifts because they get scared and want to make sure that they have something in time. Returns are scary for any e-commerce business. Are we expecting to see more returns this year than normal years, or what do you expect from that?
I would guess yes, without seeing it, and because we know people return things when they no longer need them, and if it came too late, you don't need it anymore. So we see clients trying to adjust at the front end. One of our clients has a apparel production facility, and during this time, they make their return policy a little bit more strict. So they're actually excluding returns because they're expecting that greater volume, and their business model can't afford to be that extra generous. So yes, in general, we're going to see more, but we always encourage sellers to take, or at least offer alternatives to returns. And Jacob can speak on the financial impacts that can have.
Yeah.
There's returnless refunds that are really popular on Amazon. We recommend them. It saves the time and the hassle, the checking the item in to restock and resell it. However, Amazon does offer a very interesting suite of features and options to liquidate your products or resell them if they're in a used condition. But in general, I would recommend offering alternatives. Hey, no need to return under a certain price threshold. That can be a private policy. Go ahead and keep it and donate it. If it's above a certain policy, then maybe you can require a return. One thing sellers must decide is if they're going to offer prepaid returns or unpaid returns. Prepaid are the most popular with customers. There's no cost. However, if you need to protect your margins and still permit returns, the unpaid return would be our recommendation.
Beautiful. Jacob, speak to the financial impact of things like returns when it comes to your cash flow and what your customers experience with that, if you can, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, returns can be brutal for businesses, right? We know that Amazon does have this reserve, and if you do have high return rates, you can end up having some of your sales in this reserve balance. So it's always something to be aware of, and obviously in this busy time, as we approach Q4, like we're talking about, cash flow is key. So to have accelerated payouts, to have your cash flow on hand, knowing that you aren't waiting 14 days to either have your entire balance plus your reserve on hand instead of having to wait 1 to 2 pay cycles for that cash is super key. And that's what folks don't realize, is that when you have this capital in the reserve period, you could be waiting upwards of 30, even longer in terms of days to get that capital. So Payability's forte is to give you that money right now, so that you can continue to reinvest in the business. So we want to combat sort of the reserve side of Amazon's holdback and complement that with positive cash flow, which can be very difficult during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, Jacob, to your exact point, you have several of the biggest days of the year back to back coming up here, and being able to utilize that capital and best spend it, whether it's on Amazon ads or Facebook ads or Google ads or wherever else, or even, like I said, maybe it's airdropping, or if we're a handmade business, like we have in the audience as well, maybe it's buying more materials, having that cash flow offhand. And yes, returns are going to be a thing, and we're going to have to deal with those when we deal with those, but those might not come for a month or however long. And we can't, I don't think we can Shanghai our reserves, our cash reserves, and what we're trying to do and how moving our business forward with the fear of those returns and sitting on that money.
One thing I wanted to mention there that's unique. Not only will you expect more returns, but Amazon has a unique holiday return window that's unlike the rest of the year. So this year, products that are purchased starting in October are returnable through the end of January.
Yeah.
It's a month earlier. Normally they start in November. So it's just another factor that could contribute to more returns, just because that there's no longer that 30-day window. It's quite larger.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, Ty. I didn't even think about that when we're talking about returns. That's a really good call out, because that's, like I said, that's a whole extra month that Amazon prides itself on. And I think that, when we start talking about Amazon, that's one area that they pride themselves on, is customer support, putting the customer first, priding themselves on that. And so it's no surprise at all to me to hear that it's a full month ahead of normal. And I think that's one of those things where it's a very interesting place to be when you're starting to think about what your average return rate is. I think that's something that you need to be considering as a brand, as well as what's my average Amazon return rate, what's my average Shopify return rate, and looking at those things as well when you're thinking about when and where you're pushing your ad spend, just like I talked about before, because that's something to be taken into consideration. Let's see here. We got a couple more questions here. Let me see, find a good one. I want to make sure we get to some of these. And some of these questions, we're not going to get to everyone's questions today, but I think we're going to do a little follow-up email as well, where we're all going to try to pick out a question or two and answer those for you and make sure you have access to those as well. Someone asks, what significant role does financing and performance marketing play in my e-commerce, enhancing my e-commerce? I think we've answered those pretty good today, but Jacob, again, maybe just speak to us one more time about what being able to finance and fund those Q4 and beyond advertising, especially in driving sales, like what that means for businesses.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, really what that means for business is the ability to continue to replenish, to be able to continuously buy more inventory, to continuously invest back into your business, instead of precluding yourself from doing these investments based on potential cost of an offer, if it's on the funding side, if it's accelerated payouts or a specific loan that you're looking at elsewhere, precluding yourself from investing back in the business based off short-term costs is really what's going to hinder you most. So our suggestion is, if you can capitalize from an advertising standpoint, from an inventory standpoint, we always say make that short-term capital investment, because we know that growing that top line and understanding that where your margins fit in there, and knowing my bottom line will come out at a certain extent, will go a lot way longer than saying I'm going to forego additional revenue based on cost of a potential short-term financing option.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, to your exact point, it's how can I use what I've got to capitalize on the sales in Q4, and how can I do it in the most clean way that makes it so that customers have the best experience and that we have the best experience. And we've talked through a couple strategies of that today, of how can I drive traffic to the right place at the right time. And there's people who can speak to that much more eloquent than me, of course, but I think that that's like a great case of, if you're trying to not blow it out like you normally do in Black Friday and Cyber Monday, is, hey, how can I keep this moving smoothly? And how can I, if I'm not getting my payments for 2 or 3 weeks, how can I fund my business and really utilize that capital to the best means that I can, is really critical when it comes to Q4, especially when we don't have that big day and the big payout. I have a lot of people in the audience asking about recommendations for specific partners that we like to use in terms of shipping and things like that. My thing thing I would point to first and foremost, and maybe Kian or Kelly can post this in the chat, is those on our perks page. That's a list of discounts that you have for using your free Mercury account to partners in the space that we recommend. That's going to be my first and foremost recommendation. If you have a specific question about a specific integrator that you want, feel free to reach out to me or the team, and we'd be happy to make recommendations for you or introductions as well. So I think some of those are a little bit outside of the realm of what we're trying to do for you guys here today. I think that the last things that I want to get to here, and if you have any final questions, feel free to ask those. We have a great question here that's asking again around the funding and preparing for Q4. And the question is, what's the best way to obtain funding needed to prepare for the rest of Q4 and beyond? And it really, we've touched on this a bunch today, but I think there is one final thing I want to say about this topic, and it's announcing the Mercury Capital Guide. Inside your Mercury account, if you have access to, if you're a Mercury account, Mercury customer, inside your account today, yesterday we launched a capital guide that connects founders to financing recommendations based on a couple simple questions. It's super cool. You're going to be able to just answer a couple quick questions and get connected with the likes of Jacob above and a couple other longer term lending options. Those can take a little bit longer, but are still super valuable. And it's really just about connecting you with the right financing tools to scale your business without giving away equity. It's a really, really cool tool that we're excited about. And to announce this deeper partnership with the likes of Payability is super exciting from our perspective as well. Jacob, I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, of course, super excited to launch this partnership, and it's really a great way to explain sort of the question that's being asked is, how do I evaluate these options? What do I look for? And it's look for options from trusted partners. There's a reason why Mercury and Payability are partnering together. It's to offer a value add. If you trust Mercury for your banking services, and they are going to recommend a service like Payability or another provider, we should definitely listen. I think it's part of the vetting process when it comes to partnerships, and it means that they are making valid recommendations as well. Like we were talking about, there are plenty of options out there, and you always want to look at cost of capital, right? You understand if I'm taking out $10,000, $20,000, how much am I paying back at the end of that? No matter if it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, a 10-year offer, 30-year mortgages will end up paying you about 50% in simple interest. So it's understanding how can I maximize these offers while thinking about bottom line and top line. I want to increase margins, not worry about a long-term debt cost. So understanding flipping inventory, how much I can make. If it's advertising, if I've got 5x ROAS or ACOS, how quickly can I see this return? So, and that's why partners like Mercury are going to allow you to evaluate the best options out there. So that's exactly why these partnerships are launched.
Absolutely. And, we're super excited to have Payability as a partner and to be able to help recommend them to our list of clients. Thank you for being a partner to us. And like you said, there's so many different options out there that knowing which one's really best for your business can be an intimidating thing. And so being able to select some key partners and be able to say have someone recommend to you without having to take a really salesy phone call, like often these things turn into, is a really great thing. And knowing that the people who are coming through are great. So, if you're looking to get in contact, I'm going to wrap up here. I want to be conscious of everyone's time and webinar burnout. If you want to get in contact with us, my name's Tyler. You can always reach out to me at Tyler@Mercury. We're going to be sending follow-up emails as well with the contact information for the Payability team as well as the SellerSmile team. Jacob, do you have a final thought and how should people get in contact with you or the Payability?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, final thought here is, as we are in our busy season, just worry about optimizing your business. There's plenty of tools out there, from customer support to funding to analytics to inventory optimization. Utilize the technology and services that are out there to help you optimize your business. And then get in contact with me. You can reach me at jacobs@payability.com. You can direct any questions to sales@payability.com or intro@payability.com. If there are any general questions, we are happy to answer them. And yeah, that is basically it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And Ty, last tip for the road, and how can people get in contact with you guys over at SellerSmile?
Thank you. Last tip to everyone listening. This time is super stressful, not only for your business in all the ways we've discussed, but for your personal lives. There's like 8 or 9 holidays upcoming yet in this quarter. So my advice is just take it easy on yourself. You don't have to do everything perfectly. If you run out of stock, it's okay. If a customer's upset, it's okay. We want you to do your best to manage your business without sacrificing your own enjoyment of this season. So the best way to do that, take some of the tips we discussed today and prepare, think ahead, and you'll make it through. You can reach us at sellersmile.com.
Awesome. And we'll be sending out the replay to everyone who attended today, as well as contact information. And these guys will be reaching out with some more. I think there were a couple questions we weren't able to get to today, but some tips around that as well. Thank you all for attending. Looking forward to you. If you want to learn more about Mercury and its banking services, you can reach out to us at mercury.com, and I shared my info as well. We're happy to help in any way we can, and you can start your account and really begin to utilize some of these capital options like Payability and everyone else. So thank you all so much for your time today. I really, truly appreciate it. And that's all.
Thank you. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, have a great day. Take care.